we've been hit hard. And we had some record number of job losses. So we are going to have a great discussion today. We have the union, we have advocacy groups in the room, business owners, everything. We will also be joined by the Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick, who is on her way. Her staff went to get her. And we didn't want to delay the discussion, so we will start, but she will be speaking. And when she gets up, we're going to let her open up and speak, because she can speak about this on a national level, and we want to hear her discussion. We're not just going to talk doom today. We're going to talk inspiration.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I will tell you this, I know many people are just saying, what are the Democrats going to do? And I hear it a lot, and I get it, because people are facing layoffs when they've been working in a job for 40 years plus. One job that they've had, and now they've been laid off like they haven't contributed anything. And so what many people are saying is that, what do we do next? But what I've learned from this is that, and I've been saying this when I've been doing work in the county, it takes a village.
Yes.
And we have to work as a village. There is advocacy organizations, there's things we can do like supporting our own, so that we can build our own private sector and then we can hire our own. And this is about supporting our own. One of the things is having different streams, people say different streams of income, but we need to create different streams of pathways for our community. That way, we're not leaning on the federal. We have our own, we can build our own. They're trying to take from our own, but don't worry, we're gonna fight. We've been through this before, and we're gonna make it through. So I am gonna turn it over, thanking the Washington Informer for co-sponsoring with us today in this lovely place. And to a round of applause. And this is talking about owning our own media.
Yes.
When we have our own media tell our story will be told appropriately. And that's why we do need to, support the Washington Informer, because we have many people that are writing stories that it's like, wait, what did you say happened? But we're going to tell our own story. We're going to tell people that when somebody blames a layoff on DEI, we're going to have Washington Informer cover it and tell the real story, right? Because we're not DEI hires, we are qualified. And we just want people to know that. So we just want to thank Washington Informer for opening this up, and I'm going to turn it over to Denise Barnes to get us started in the discussion.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So, do you feel like you're in your college dorm? Nice, tight, cozy, and this is what we need this. You can get along in these tight spaces. It makes us network and connect them, correct?
Right.
All right. So it's my honor to be your MC this evening. I really don't have a big job to do, because it goes with all the answers. Talked about this earlier. Everybody in here doesn't necessarily have an answer. But hopefully in this room, we have the answers. I mean, we can have conversations about where we are and not only the Black economy under attack, but how we're going to attack the attackers. Right? So first of all, again, thank you, Councilmember Blegay, for asking me to moderate this panel this evening. I am Denise Rolark, publisher of the Washington Informer, a family-owned business here in Washington, D.C. that serves D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. We will be celebrating or observing or just having, becoming 61 years old in October. This paper was started by my dad in 1964, and I took over in 1994, and we are continuing to serve our community. And if you're talking about under attack, you all know the media is under attack.
Yeah.
And you all know that we are the media, so that means that we are under attack as well. But we are going to continue to do the work that we do. We're excited also to be a part of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Annual Legislative Weekend that's going on right now at the Washington Convention Center. We're so glad that you decided, Councilmember, to have this event. Again, this is, where are we? We're Ward 6, DC, with we're so sorry, but we're not. The Commanders' new stadium is built a couple of blocks down the street. And it's all economic development, jobs, and all that. So, lastly, I'll just say that when I was asked to moderate, you didn't want to talk about the woes necessarily of where we are today. I mean, I think anybody in this room at least not everybody, I'm gonna ask you to raise your hands, who has a story to tell about how this economy that man down with spends a couple of days during the month, on Pennsylvania Avenue while he does whatever. How many of you all been impacted by the decisions that he's made over the last, what is it, 8 months, 9 months? Oh, nobody's been impacted. Okay, you got some great folks in here who really got answers. This is how we get through this. So, yeah, at some point, we're gonna open up for questions and comments from you all as well, because again, the solutions are within us. We have the answers to the problems and the present and here. Thank you. I guess that means I can stop talking now. I like that. So I'm gonna ask, starting with, Mr. Ottis Johnson, to each one of you all to introduce yourselves and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
The thing I think that's most important, and Vice President Johnson and the Congresswoman actually already talked a lot about this, but what we're seeing right now is not just an attack on the dignity of Black people. We're seeing a real attack on the existence of Black people, and the existence of Black people by using currency, by using the mechanisms of federal government, using the mechanisms of our economy, one, for them to enrich themselves, but to deplete our spirits and our bank accounts. Yeah. And I know that we all are not particularly going to let that happen. There are 3 areas that we have to look at in terms of this administration and how they're harming Black people and Black communities across the country. Number 1, we've seen executive action unlike any other modern president in history that allows them to do some of the things that they're doing, right? When we talk about people just being fired from their job, you walk into work one day to serve your country, and you were told you don't have a job. What does that also mean for people? That means childcare, that means housing, that means food. And this is all from the person who said, I'm gonna lower your costs. And the only thing that's been happening to people is inflation is actually higher than what they said it was. We see people are losing their jobs. I don't know how you lower costs and people lose their jobs. That just doesn't make any sense. Right, the second part that we have to look at is legislation. What they did in July with the big ugly bill, as I call it. This was the largest transfer of wealth. Yes. It's not just cuts to healthcare. While that is important, it's not just cuts to food and nutritional assistance programs. They literally transferred wealth to keep the highest 1% of mostly white people that are holding wealth from the 1700s for them to continue to maintain wealth, and that is disadvantage for the rest of us. Over the last several decades, they have worked to twist the tax code, because most of the people who are getting this transfer of wealth from us losing our health care and our food nutrition program, they weren't paying their taxes anyway. Right. And we were paying more than they were paying. And they just got more money on our back. My grandma would call it reverse Robin Hood. Anybody heard you remember Robin Hood? It's reverse Robin Hood. You're taking from the poor and middle class and you're helping the rich that don't need help. And that are already manipulating the government and manipulating the system in the first place. And then the third piece is what the Congresswoman was just talking about, is trade and tariffs. These tariffs actually damage trade relationships, which means investments and dollars. Who is going to get hurt in these tariffs? It's Black farmers. I'm from South Carolina. So my family gets harmed, right? It's the peach growers in Georgia and different parts of the country, right? And it's people, we're growing our own nutrition. So one, we've got to pay higher prices to trade that we don't have because the agricultural industry has already been in flux the last several decades. And on top of that, now you're removing nutrition programs where people receive stipends to help various community leaders, right, across the country. And so for us, we have been organizing our members all across the country in meaningful ways. There's two fights that we have on our hands. Number one, there's an economic fight. And I'm not going to repeat everything that they said, because they said it so eloquently, right? It's about how do we invest our money, what resources we have now. It's about supporting Black businesses. It's about hiring each other. It's about gaining the skills to go through procurement. We have the county here, right? And procurement practices. Where does the county start and state start to invest their monies and their resources? It's about making sure that we're keeping our skills. It's about fighting back against DEI attacks that we're seeing in programs across the country, because if we really want to tell the truth about it, DEI programs started with white women. Not us. So let's tell that truth, right? And it's the same white woman that voted for that gentleman who's attacking our communities right now. And I can't say his name. I'm not in that part of my spiritual walk, okay? and so it's the same. And so when we see those attacks, we're seeing those attacks in schools. And so now, how do we build these local and state partnerships to support our colleges and universities? Because we see right now our HBCUs are under attack in terms of funding and the support and the resources. We're seeing community colleges. Obviously, we're seeing a rollback of the student loan forgiveness from the Biden-Harris administration, because people who left their job and they needed to either strengthen their skills or they needed to go get a new skill can't even get the financial aid to go to the community college, right? And so when we talk about all of those issues, we've got to look at how we teach economics. And so this year, Color of Change worked with some labor unions, and I'm adding Vice President Johnson to that list, and also of NAACP and several other groups, and we launched a Fair Work, Fair Pay campaign to fight against these attacks, to make sure that our members were educated about this. We brought our members here, and we visited over 100 offices in one day to make sure that their voices and their stories got heard in the seats of government. The other piece that's fundamentally important for us is, if we're going to fight this administration where we are right now, we have to be honest about the political makeup of the country.
That's right.
They hold the White House, they hold the Senate, the House, and now the courts.
Yeah.
And we used to be able to go to the courts and be able to go and at least fight and maybe restore jobs and restore programs and resources for people.
Not now.
So now, what does that mean for our organizing work? What does that mean for our politics? It's local and state organizing and advocacy. Every state in the union will have legislative sessions starting early 2026. We need to be contacting our state elected officials, our state legislators, governors. Y'all have a champion in Governor Moore. Let's hope if anybody living in Virginia, y'all are electing a governor in a few weeks. Early voting started Friday. So if you have not voted, let's get people in Virginia out to vote. Because the way that we fight back against this administration is going to be doubling down our resources on the local, county, and state levels. And so we need to be doing that advocacy work. Those of us who don't have elections this year in 2026, as the Congresswoman reiterated, we're organizing people to make sure that they go out and vote. Because it's not just about checking a box at a ballot location. With every elected official that we elect, from school board on to President of the United States, is a decision maker. And a decision maker to give us what we not just want, but what we need and we deserve in our communities. And so we've got to make sure that we are organizing in that strategic way. We need to be showing up, just as the council member said. She just said they're having a bill to support Black women, particularly, who have been hit in Prince George's County. When she's presenting on that bill, when she's speaking on that bill, we need to be there with her.
That's right.
The goal is to eliminate the existence of Black people, especially in politics and in our economy. And if we let them do it by fighting one another, because that's what they want us to do, is to despair and to fight, all these Black people can't get along and they can't work together. We've got to stand in community together, show up when it's time for the bills to be voted on, right? Whether it's Congress or your county council, and make sure that we're able to do that and to continue to make those investments. And we also, where there are resources permitting, can invest in each other, right? Coming here and investing in Black businesses, because every Black worker that comes into a Black business, you are helping a household stay open.
Yeah.
Right? And we have that opportunity to do that. When we're tithing in church, when we're giving to various nonprofits, right? We serve on nonprofit boards. You may serve on a state or a county commission. Whatever that investment looks like, the word tells us when we invest, it's returned tenfold.
Amen.
Right? And so we've got to make sure that we find opportunities to do that. And so that's some of the work I've done with Color of Change. That's what I'll continue to do in my new projects that I'll be able to announce here soon, in terms of working with candidates and organizations about these issues. But we must keep our economics at the center of our politics. And Dr. King always taught us that we can't just fight for one or the other, that we have to shift the economic and political power together.
That's
right? Not one or the other. And so why I broke it down that way is because, yes, we need to be investing our dollars, we need to be receiving dollars, But some of those dollars and some of those resources come into our communities because of the politics we play. And as the Congresswoman said, they're trying to change the rules. And if we let them change the rules and change the game, it's gonna hurt us even more than we already are now. And so we have to get in and fight and advocate before they change the entire game on us, and that we leave the next generation behind us even at more of a disadvantage. I was talking to my grandmother, she just turned 90 a few months ago, and she was saying, I thought we were done with this. But the thing that we are learning is, at the end of the day, we're never done fighting for democracy and equity and equality and fairness and dignity and all the things. Yep. And so I hope that y'all will support, as I'm departing, I know, organizations such as Color of Change, NAACP, our labor unions, that you all will show support when we say, come to the county council chambers, come to the state capitol, come to city hall, come to the school board meeting. We're serious because at the end of the day, there's power in numbers. And two, this legislation and this work won't move without the people demonstrating, showing up, and putting our stories into the conversation. So support these organizations. Let's stand together and be a community to make sure that, one, we can fight this administration at the local and state level, but two, we can turn some things around in the next few elections so that people can go back to work. People can go back to school. People can take advantage of opportunities that they deserve, quite frankly, and that we are working to earn as well.
Are we doing enough? Are we scared to push back because we might lose funding? Where you see maybe many schools are quiet, not saying anything, even stifling the voices of the opposition? Have we gotten so comfortable that even we're not able to make the demands that we turn our profits towards small business, supporting our small business? This is something at the county that we have a conversation. Do we support the big companies that are running and following, the president and what he's doing, or are we going to now look to prioritize our own? So that's definitely, I thank you for that. Right. It's really one of those things where that is a come to Jesus meeting that we have to fight. We saw with the Target fight, what happened and how Target started losing money. That was pretty risky for a lot of people to walk away from Target and others. So it's one of those things where we're trying to make a difference. But I'm going to turn it back over because I do believe now everyone has said everything, so maybe we can open it up for discussion.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if everyone said everything because I want to open it up for discussion, but I do want to ask a question because I think you all have painted a picture of where we are today. And we have people who are going to leave today thinking, still got a light bill paying, I still have a mortgage to pay, I still have tuition that's due, I don't have a job. What am I supposed to do tomorrow? How am I supposed to make it? The first of the month is coming. And so I'm just curious and would like to know, and I'm gonna start with you, Councilmember, because you talked about the legislation. I know recently we just had the Chambers of Commerce just met, and they talked about new workforce development programs. They're talking about new strategies so that when Medicaid changes at the end of the year, that those who are on Medicaid will not lose their health insurance. Can we get just a little bit of specifics of what you all may be engaged in that will directly help that person, even if there's someone who's looking at foreclosure, when the housing crisis, Prince George's County was ground zero for foreclosures, and people would not go to get help. Where is the help? I want to hear some specifics. So, yes.
And I think that's a great question. Let me just say this, and I know that some people in the room like, where is the help? And we get it. First of all, I will say at the state level, they did open up, extension of unemployment and more funding that's coming in for assistance. And if you want to know more about that, you can definitely reach out to our office because we've been talking with the state officials on what's out there. Even when it comes to utility support, I don't know if you all saw that there's an announcement of utility support for those that are in need. We do recognize right now that a lot of folks are needing to catch up on bills because they've been laid off and looking for ways to, get that support. So my bill that I actually am putting, we're going to get the date of the hearing. We need everybody to show up. because we want to put pressure on everybody, but I think there's a lot of support. But the initial bill actually was gonna give funding from the county to those who've been laid off, but it was very hard because we have a very tight budget. But I have met with the county executive, and a couple of things we do want to talk about. First of all, funding nonprofits that provide support. And so we discussed that, prioritizing our money, because we do have about $10 million that we give in grants. But we might have to focus our grant money. We have given a lot of money to various grants. We work with Legacy Business Foundation. That's one of our ones that we funded. We funded we have the community impact, and we have many others, capital area, food bank, the storehouse, all of those things. So we do need to fund those programs so that they can create programs that have more support, because there is more support for mortgage and utility support and all of those things. Number two, the bill that I have does have a preference in hiring. We do recognize that a lot of our federal workers have been laid off, and we do want to make sure they get preference. Now, that preference does not go above a county official, of course, who is already in the county government, but it does give them a leg up to get back into the working environment. We are working with Employ Prince George's to fund workforce development programs. What we realize is that a lot of our federal workers that are coming out kind of need to repurpose some of their job skills, because there is a new job skill going to the private sector. So there has already been some meetings. We've had a couple of job fairs. We even had a federal resource job fair that we had through my office, but we plan to probably have those every couple of months. In addition, our EDC has had a lot of events to try to teach federal workers or those been laid off how to become entrepreneurs. The reality is that is one of the things that we do think is something. While people own restaurants and all of those things, a lot of people still did that and work in the federal government. We believe there should be different streams of income, and making sure that we get an entrepreneurship is an opportunity that we do think will be beneficial for all workers, regardless of whether they get back into the workforce or not. So these are just some of the tip of the things we're doing. We're looking at other ways. If you do have other ideas, let us know. Today I was on a call about healthcare equity. One of the things we talked about is how do we look to increase the funding for federal qualified healthcare centers that provide healthcare, so that someone that is on Medicaid or Medicare or losing support there will still be able to see a doctor and get any of the prevention work and all of those things. So we are trying to figure out how to help those that might be knocked off of Medicaid if that should happen. We recognize that we don't want it to happen, but we have some limitations.
My name is Kayla Evans. I am a Prince George's County homeowner, business owner, parent of a PGCPS student. I am fully vested in Prince George's County. I do a lot of advocacy work as well. When we talk about radicalism and disruption to the system, I'm looking towards Prince George's County Council, right? And when you talk about how we connect with our faith leaders, we know that Black church is big in Prince George's County. And a lot of the work that we're doing as we're looking towards the next election cycle, especially on the local level, is a lot of us just aren't voting. Period. The numbers are down low. I'm talking to people, especially our young people, they have no idea what the system is. They don't understand how it's impacting them and their families. They don't want to participate because they believe that it's systemically broken. In a lot of ways, it's not. So what is the county council doing as we partner with Great Boy and as we partner with the Prince George's County Public School? I'm really heavy working with my HOA. How are we connecting to radicalize what Prince George's County can look like as we change it for ourselves and get young people more invested in what politics could look like?
Thank you so much. That's a great question. We have been, from the council level, each council district kind of works with organizations that are on the ground. I mean, for my office, we're working with at least 5 different organizations with the youth to get the youth involved. We started a District 6 youth council, to bring them in to our system. So one of the things we did, and I want to give the credit to our chair, Ed Burrows, is that he actually passed a bill that requires that you have to have a youth representative on each of our advisory any of our advisory groups in the county, that we have to have youth on it. And what this is doing is that it allows our youth to become a part of the process while they're in high school, while they're in middle school, while they're in college, so that they can learn. I would say last week we had my youth advisory. We put it out there. We got a lot of folks to come in. And one thing we talked to the youth advisory about is that we said, look, we have all of these. We have so much money that we're spending in recreation. And we realizing that we're missing a lot of kids. Why are we missing a lot of kids? Well, when we met with the kids, the park planner gave a presentation. They said, we didn't even know this stuff exists. So we're not even reaching our kids. And so we have to realize we have to meet people where they are. Now that gave our park and planning walked away and said, wait, we're not reaching kids. But to be honest, we could be in our own circles if we never bring the kids to the table. And so this time we actually asked the kids, how do we reach you? And they said, well, did you come to the schools and all that? And of course, the park and planning person is kind of scrambling to say, I think we did. But that's the point. It's like we're not getting to them. And so what we're trying to do, the way we're going to raise a new generation is to put them in the room. So we have to put them in a room, whether they, make their parents bring them out. So Remy here had a group of young people come out. She had a summer program that she created, and it was about 30 kids. And so what we're doing is that we're asking them to come to the council, meet their representative. We're making sure that if we have a council meeting or an advisory, that at least there are two representatives from the youth on the actual advisory committee. Even if it's an adult thing that they just don't get bored, the point is that it pulls them in the room. You have to do that so we can raise a new generation. We realize that a lot of this new generation that's coming up is on their phones and on social media. So frankly, if you don't get the parents to push to bring them out, they might not know. And then when something comes up on social media, they'll follow it. So that's what we're doing to really engage organizations. So we do have a lot of people reaching out to us to try to do more engagement. And we did meet with the superintendent. I am meeting with him next week, because what we said is a lot of people do want to do more with the school system, and they said that it's very difficult to get in and get involved with the school system, and we are trying to change that. So hopefully we're going to bring a new group of young people. And I will say, is there enough disruption right now? No. And that's the reality. And we're working on that to make sure that we are a voice in that. And it is difficult because there are financial implications from being a disruptor. The reality is that we have a $5.8 billion budget. A good amount of that in and out is federal government money that's passed through the city. So the reality now, what we're facing is that we don't think we're gonna get the reimbursement from the state for our, to feed our free and reduced lunch. The free and reduced lunch that we give, that's all federally funded. Right now, we're gonna scramble for money to pay for that because we're now being told that we will not receive the reimbursement. So this is what's going on everywhere. A lot of our federally qualified healthcare centers that receive federal funds are no longer receiving federal funds. So now they're coming to us, asking us to fill in the gap. The fill in the gap requests are coming everywhere. We're about to lose possibly the Beltsville Agricultural Center. So even some of the places we have in the county that we could lose, that might disrupt the economic development plans that we have. We are looking at replacement for Six Flags, replacement for Commanders. A lot of those things that you want, if the idea is that the federal government is moving away from the county, it's hard to replace what we've lost. So the reality is that we are at a very precarious time that some people are saying if we get too disruptive, could it be even worse than it is? And is it worth putting our residents through that race? In the state of Maryland, the highest number of new registered businesses was out of Prince George's County. So what we did when we did a scan of it, what we found is that a lot of business, especially tech, we are leading in tech, but many of the people who start their business don't see Prince George's County as a place for tech. So they go and they are in DC, they're in Virginia, and they live in Prince George's County. So we started the task force to bring all of the tech group together to create the tech culture in Prince George's County so that we can actually have people say, okay, what do we do with AI? Because number one of the things that this attack proved is that we have to be creative as a community. And part of being creative, we have a lot of people, when we did the AI task force, the first meeting, a lot of people who showed up were IT professionals in the federal government looking to start something of their own. Good. Because that's what we need to do, build that out. We were looking, when I was looking first, honestly, when I first started it, I was busy, interested in how do we bring Microsoft to Prince George's County? How do we bring that? And actually, I gotta give Bernard Wright, who is head of our OIC, the credit, because he said, Walla, why are you chasing after, Microsoft when we got people that are doing Microsoft type work right here, give them a chance. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do is that build on that AI ecosystem and try to build it out in Prince George's County because we are a tech county. Because a lot of people who are doing, if you look at IT for every agency in the region, you're gonna find them led or run by somebody from Prince George's County. That's just a reality. However, now I will say with the data center issue, we're gonna have to make sure that we protect residents. So that's why we started the task force. The task force is to protect residents because there's a difference between bringing an actual data center is just there as a financial incentive for the county. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't even bring that many jobs. Data centers are not a job filler. It's more of just it really takes a lot of energy, things like that. So there are some things that we need to control with a data center. That's why we have the task force and that's why we passed the pause. What the pause does, the pause was already in place before anything came up with Landover. I just want to make that clear to everybody. The pause was in place to make sure that we did not have new data centers popping up everywhere while we're trying to investigate the issue. What are the biggest concerns with data center? Energy. Energy is the biggest concern. It eats up a lot of energy. No data center in Maryland is going to be turned on for the next 4 to 5 years. Even in Frederick County, they put up data. They did the fast track for data centers there. They did all of that stuff. It is now on a standstill because they can't get it turned on. So reality is that the energy crisis we have to resolve, and we're gonna try to resolve that before anything is approved. The county executive has agreed on a pause, but that does not stop us from actually building ourselves in that industry, in the AI industry. And we already have become the home. How many people know that Prince George's County is the home of quantum?
University of Maryland.
Right. People don't know that. That's the point that we're making. Because while we are the home of quantum, that should be nationally and internationally known. Right now, the biggest quantum, IonQ, the biggest quantum organization or company started at University of Maryland. And now is known internationally for quantum, and they have a lot of deals that they're doing. But people should know that that started in Prince George's County, and that should be part of the ecosystem that builds us to be a tech hub. And then we should be helping all of the residents we have that's in tech build their business, get contracts with the county, get contracts in various industries. I mean, today, since Remy Dulé brought a company into our office that does tech for the county. They're branded Greenbelt, and they're like, give us opportunity. So that's the way we're gonna save our people is by giving them opportunity so we can build generational wealth and by building that ecosystem. So I will say while we're looking at data centers and all that, I don't really connect that to AI as much, although AI can go there. For AI, we're trying to build this county as home to quantum and AI, and that it can build an industry that we can hire those people laid off and put them in an industry that's beyond just the federal government.